Hey guys, Happy New Year and welcome back to Analyzing Horror. My name is Lauren and today we'll be talking about our new best friend and protector, M3GAN, which at the time that I'm filming this just recently came out in theaters. So a brilliant toy roboticist, Gemma, uses artificial intelligence to develop M3GAN, a lifelike doll that's programmed to emotionally bond with her recently orphaned niece, Katie. But when the doll's programming works too well, she becomes overprotective and begins to take on a life of her own with terrifying consequences. So just a quick disclaimer before we dive in, this review is going to be a bit different than others that I've done before. The majority will be spoiler free, but towards the end I will be getting into my few criticisms, which will involve a bit of spoilers concerning the ending. I'll make sure to give you guys a warning beforehand. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and you care about spoilers, make sure to pause at that point, save this video for later, and make sure to come back once you've seen it. Alright, let's get into it. So this was one of my most anticipated horror movies of 2023 for multiple reasons. As soon as I saw the trailer months ago, I was immediately so freaking excited for it, and it almost perfectly lived up to my expectations. So first off, M3GAN herself looked fantastic. She was so adorable and creepy, and I just immediately fell in love with her, as well as how lovingly hostile she was for Katie. I also thought a robot going rogue and homicidal was a very interesting concept for a horror movie, and I thought the movie presented the perfect situation for that to happen. M3GAN just instantly became one of my new favorite horror villains, and I'm pretty sure she's already become a modern horror icon at this point. I also loved all of her mannerisms and the way she moved. It was creepy because it was both realistic and robotic at the same time. And they were actually able to achieve this by using a combination of a real robot, special effects, and a young actress and gymnast to bring M3GAN to life, and I just thought that was so freaking cool. And speaking of which, Amy Donald did such an incredible job embodying M3GAN. I was so impressed to learn that she did almost all of the M3GAN scenes and all of her stunts. In addition, I thought Jenna Davis did such a great job contributing to bringing M3GAN to life by voicing her. She was able to give her so much personality and attitude, and it made her feel like a real character, not just a robot. I also loved Violet McGraw as Katie. She is such a talented young actress. I know her from Mike Flanagan's Netflix show, A Haunting of Hill House, but I also just learned recently that her and the main young girl from The Black Phone from last year are sisters. My mind was blown, but it makes perfect sense. They're both such little powerhouses. I just can't wait to continue following their careers as they grow up. Also, Allison Williams was great as Gemma. We all know her from Get Out, but I also really liked her in this Netflix original, The Perfection, and I just love seeing her continue to return to the horror genre. It always makes me happy when an actor does that. Also, not only did the modern horror legend James Wan produce this movie, but he also wrote the story for it, which is so freaking cool. I just love him so much and how he approaches horror in such unique and creative ways. Like, he's just such a visionary. This was also directed by Gerard Johnston, who's almost primarily known for Housebound from 2014, a New Zealand horror comedy which he wrote and directed. I believe I saw it the year it came out actually, and I really enjoyed it. And because of that, I felt like I could see his influence in the horror and dark comedy aspects of M3GAN, and I really appreciated that. And with Blumhouse also producing, as well as Jason Blum being heavily involved, it was clear this was the perfect recipe for a modern horror classic. So moving on to my favorite scenes, I loved the whole movie, especially any scene M3GAN was in, but there was this one scene where M3GAN sings the song Titanium to Katie when she's sad. It's a sweet moment, but it also made me chuckle because it just came out of nowhere. I loved it, and I'll forever think of this movie when I hear that song now. I also loved any scene where someone pissed M3GAN off. Her little head tilts, and the way that she would just slowly turn her head and give someone a death stare. It's funny, but also so tense because it's like, oh, M3GAN's gonna kill you now. And again, her attitude and her passive aggression were so fantastic. Like when Gemma tells M3GAN to turn off and she's like, are you sure? Or at another point, she's like, Jesus, I thought we were having a conversation. The comedic tension was so high during those scenes, but I loved it. It was so effective. Next, my second favorite scene is when a young boy is bullying Katie in a forest and M3GAN comes to the rescue. This is in the trailers, by the way. I'm not spoiling anything. M3GAN is so unsettling in this scene. Like, she's done bad things up until this point in the movie, but this is the point where she goes full bad. I love all of her movements in this scene too. Like, there's this one point where she kind of like stands up backwards all robotic, and when she runs, runs on all fours. Oh my god. So freaking creepy yet cool and almost animalistic. I loved it. Also, as I mentioned earlier in the video, Amy Donald does all of her stunts, so she can actually run on all fours. As a gymnast, she can just do that. It's incredible. I'll say it again, I find her so incredibly impressive, and she's also only 10. Like, she's just absolutely amazing. I also love the part where M3GAN is pulling the bully's ear off and antagonizing him while she's doing it. Like, she's slowly stretching his ear off and he's screaming, and she's just like, you need to learn some manners, Brandon. Absolutely savage. I love that scene so much. And you can probably guess what my favorite scene in this movie is. The dancing in the office hallway scene. I've loved that scene so much ever since initially seeing it in the trailers. It's so creepy, but also mesmerizing at the same time, and I love that choreography. By the way, I'm totally learning that dance, with the exception of the twirl, by the way. I'd break my damn neck. And the costume's already ordered, so check Instagram for that in the coming weeks, or maybe whenever it comes out on VOD. But yeah, that scene was so great because of how creepy yet adorable M3GAN was. Plus, it makes sense in the story because she's trying to distract someone in that scene, and also Katie had taught her those moves earlier in the movie, so they were already in her programmed memory. So it just further made her feel like a real robot gone evil, like she was using what she had been taught. Also, that smooth pull and the paper cutter blade to turn into a weapon, I just thought it was so cool. She was like, swish. She looked so evil. I loved it. It's just such an iconic scene. It's lived rent-free in my head for months now, and it will continue to do so. All right, so now I'll be touching on my few criticisms, which, as I stated earlier in the video, contain a little bit of spoilers concerning the ending. So this is officially your spoiler warning. But if you have to pause, please make sure to save this video for later, and I'd love to see you back here once you've seen the movie. All right, so for my first criticism, I have to say that I really wanted more M3GAN/M3GAN attack scenes. So the movie starts off a bit on the slower side because we're first introduced to Gemma and Katie before M3GAN, so we don't get to see M3GAN fully functioning on screen until a bit into the movie, which is totally fine and it makes sense. But again, I just really wanted more M3GAN in general. Also, I honestly was a bit disappointed that practically all of the M3GAN attack scenes were in the trailers. Like, I was expecting way more killer M3GAN moments in addition to the ones that we saw in the trailer. But yeah, I just honestly feel a little bit let down because basically every single M3GAN attack scene are in the trailers. And just in general, they could have done so much more with the M3GAN concept, and they could have gone much darker with her, and I really would have loved to see that. But they have already announced that they're already working on a sequel. So that makes it so much better for me because that means they can just build off what they've already done in the first movie with M3GAN, and that's so exciting. And lastly, I will admit to rooting for the bad guy in this movie. You guys know by now how much I love M3GAN as a character. So the ending where Katie saves Gemma from M3GAN with a bigger robot that literally tears M3GAN in two, that really bummed me out. I know I'm supposed to care about Gemma and Katie, and I do, but I was rooting for M3GAN. I loved M3GAN. So it just really made me sad to see M3GAN literally torn in half and disrespected like that. But the very end does indicate that her AI consciousness is still saved in like this little mini robot. Plus with that sequel announcement, that means we get more M3GAN. And hopefully she gets fully put back together in her rightful adorable form. But yeah, I just really did not like seeing her torn apart and so disrespected like that. That's my girl, you know? Frankly, how dare you? So quick rating, I gave this 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. Despite my few small criticisms, I thought it was creepy and darkly hilarious. And I just love this movie and M3GAN herself so much, and I'm so excited for that sequel. Fingers crossed for a full franchise too, by the way. Like, that would be so amazing. I would love that so much. So what did you think of M3GAN? Are you also excited for the sequel as well? Let me know in the comments. Also, this is just a reminder that I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, so if you're interested in following me on those and you haven't already, the links are in my description box below. And as always, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so Black Phillip knows you'd like to live deliciously. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you again very soon in the next video. Bye!